Welcome back to Code Ninjas for the month of February. I'm really excited because this month we are going to be doing a fun game that is similar to Pac Man. If anyone has any old school reference as to how to play Pac Man, it is actually really simple. These were like on old Nintendos and PlayStations. It was like that like half yellow circle that you had to get all the dots in a maze without getting caught by the critters or whatever. This game is similar to that, except here we have a mouse who is going to try to get the cheese without the beetles or the ghost catching it. This game is called Cheese Chase. So here's an example of what we're playing right here. As you can see my mouse. Oh, okay. I got stopped because the ghost stopped me. Let me try that again real quick for you guys. But this is a really fun game to play. Okay, so that is how we play Cheese Chase. And I'm going to show you how to code this. It's actually a lot simpler than you think it is. It will take a little bit of math, but I think you guys will enjoy how to make it. To start off, as always, we're going to go to scratch.mit.edu. This is going to take you to the Scratch homepage. Scratch is completely free. You can sign up for an account with your parents' permission. That is also 100% free. You don't have to have an account to create things with Scratch. However, if you really want to explore how to code, which this is a coding program that is made for children, that has very basic coding principles in there. So if you really want to learn how to code, making an account is a great way to keep track of your work, to be able to share your work, and even dive deeper into this. But whether you want to make an account or not, just go to scratch.mit.edu and then go to create, and you will see a page like this. So we're going to get started here. The first thing we need to do is, as you can see, my sprite, my little character right over here is the cat. This is what it always starts out with. But in Cheese Chase, it is not a cat that's chasing the mouse, it's chasing the cheese. It is a mouse. So we're going to go ahead and delete that cat right there. Come over here to the bottom right where you see choose a sprite. You're going to choose a sprite. Because we need a mouse, we're going to type in the word mouse there. And we have now our mouse. Super easy. Now, I'm going to put in a bit of coding here. And this coding is basically going to allow us to use the arrow keys on our keyboard. Okay? It might look complicated, the ending, what it will end up looking like. I promise you it will not be that complicated. But basically, you're going to come over here to events. And as always, to start it, we're going to have when the green flag is clicked. Now, as always, this bit of coding always starts the game. This is saying that whenever we press this button, whatever is coded under here will work, okay? Next, we want to have our forever loop. This is once again going to create a loop. That means for however long this game is happening, whatever is inside this little forever box here will happen the entire time for however long this thing is happening, okay? Next, we want to get our if-then box and put it inside our forever box. Loop, so it looks like just like that. The if-then box, as we talked about this a couple of months ago, is if whatever is happening in this little shape right here, then it will cause whatever's underneath it to happen. So it's basically, if it is raining outside, it will cause me to have an umbrella. If I am hungry, I will get food. Same principle here. If whatever is happening in this box, then whatever is happening right here is going to happen. For us, because we want to be able to use our arrow keys to move our mouse up and down, we want to go over here to sensing, the light blue ones, and we're going to have if the key space is pressed. And we're going to click it right there. Now you see the space. This is actually the space bar. You see the little arrow right here? I can press down here and it gives me all the options. So this is saying that I can pretty much use any key that's on my keyboard. I can choose. So if you don't want to do an arrow key, if you want to do other letters, you can. To make things simple, we're going to stick with our arrow keys. But basically, we're going to have the up arrow. So the upward arrow. If the upward arrow is pressed, then whatever is going to happen here, okay? Then we want our mouse to point in the direction, let's see if I can find it here. Oh, there it is. And point in direction 90. Now this is, now the 90 here is basically showing whichever direction our mouse is pointing. So here you see this arrow right here. This means that our mouse is pointing to the right. If I were to change this, that means that arrow is pointing up. So if the up arrow is pressed, our mouse is going to go up. Okay, that's what we want. So if the up arrow is pressed, our mouse will go up. And when our mouse goes up, our mouse is also going to move 5 steps. Okay, so let's try this right here. We press the green key. If we're pressing the up arrow, that means our mouse is moving up. Now, if I'm pressing the down arrow or the right arrow or the left arrow, obviously nothing is happening because we don't have any code for that yet. So now let's keep creating more code so that we can use our down arrow, our right, and our left arrow. And we're going to keep doing the same code we did here, but we're going to change this so that it says down, right, left, okay? But we're going to basically repeat that code right there, okay? So let's go back and let's get our if then, put it right there, go to sensing. If our down arrow is pressed, go back over here to motion. Now let's think here. When we had our up arrow happening, and you see the arrow is pointing up, and now we have our down arrow happening, we want the mouse to go down. So we want to move this arrow so that it's facing down. You can see the number is 180. So now whenever we press the down arrow, our mouse will go downward. Okay? Once again, he's going to move 5 steps. Let's do it again. Go over here to sensing. Let's do our right arrow, okay? Go over here to motion. Now we don't have to change anything here because the arrow is already pointing to the right. Once again, if the right arrow is pressed, we want the mouse to go right, which that is perfectly fine. We can leave it as that, okay? And we want the mouse to move 5 steps. One more time, so we can use our left arrow. Left arrow. Now, we want our arrow to face left, so let's make sure it's pointing to the left right here. You can see the number changed to -90, okay, or -90. That means that it is pointing that whenever we press the left arrow key, our mouse will turn to the left, which is what we want. Now let's try this again. I can go up, I can go to the right, I can go down, I can go to the left. Perfect. This is exactly what we want right here. And if I'm going too fast or this is confusing, you can always stop this video and rewind it and rewatch it however many times you want. Next, we need to make the cheese for the mouse to chase. Now, in our sprites, in our sprite library, we don't actually have cheese. We don't actually have cheese. So this means we get to create our own cheese, which is actually really fun. So we're going to go into sprites and we're going to press the paintbrush to go to paint. Now to create the sprite, you can create your cheese however you want it to look like. This is how I'm going to create my cheese. I'm going to use this line here to make sure I have some straight lines. And it's not going to be perfect cheese, but you know what? That's okay. It doesn't need to be perfect cheese. There it goes, like that. Like that. And we're gonna fill it in a fun color. Cheese is not purple, cheese is yellow. I mean, I guess you can make purple cheese. I would question whether or not we should eat purple cheese, but that's personally my opinion. Go over here, like this is just paint. So we're gonna go over here to the paint bucket, click on both. I'm gonna lower that a little bit there. Fantastic. So right now it looks like a triangle kind of box still. So we're going to press the eraser tool here. And I'm going to make this an 8. And we're going to press that. So it kind of gives that little look right here, that kind of a little bit of nibble has already been taken out of this cheese. We're going to go to 20. Looking like this cheese has already kind of had some lunch here. We're going to have a couple of circles here. Move that up. I'm going to do another little circle. And like I said, you can make your cheese however look like you want it to look. But that is our cheese for now. I'm also going to highlight all of these. I'm going to come over here where it says group. And now this whole object is one big giant group. So I can't worry about accidentally making part of the cheese small and leaving part of the cheese big. So that way when we make it small like this, the whole cheese will look small. Okay? So yay, now we have cheese. Now we need to add some code to our cheese so that it will constantly pop up in different places around our screen so that the mouse can continue to chase something, because it is not fun to only chase something that stays in one spot, correct? You are correct. To do so, the first thing we need to do is we need to make a variable. And this variable is going to give us a score. Because what fun is it to create a cheese chasing game if we don't actually keep score? So we're going to go to where it says to the orange blocks right here where it says variable, make a variable. And you're going to type in the word score. Just like that, and press OK. Now I come over here to events, and once again, when the green flag is clicked, come back to variables. And you are going to set your score. It starts with my variable, but we use the down arrow to change it to score to 0. This is at the start of every game. Your score will always go back to 0. Okay? Go here to the forever block. Go over here back to motion. And we're going to choose the go to X, Y, this number right here. Now, these numbers right here, this will determine where the cheese will go on our screen. Right now, the numbers 36 and 28 is here on my screen. It might be a little different on yours. But basically, this is saying that the cheese will only stay in one space. Like I said, that's not exciting. So we're going to go over here to operators in the green. And we're going to have it pick a random spot in place of both those numbers, okay? Now the random spot, it is going to be minus 220, normal 220, minus 160, and normal 160. Now, why did I choose 220 and 160? These are the boundaries of our screen, okay? I know this from playing Scratch several times and studying Scratch a lot, but these numbers are the actual boundaries of the screen. So basically, by choosing these numbers, I'm allowing my cheese sprite, to go anywhere it wants on my screen. It's not going to stay in one spot. It's not going to stay in a small corner of the screen. It can pop up anywhere it wants to go on my screen, which is what's making it exciting, correct? Yes. But I don't want it just to pop up in random places at random times. I want the mouse to actually catch the cheese. So the next code is going to determine is going to allow us to do that. So we're going to have wait until block here. Let's go under it. And we're going to go touching the mouse pointer over here and sensing this light blue block. And we're going to pop it right there. And I want to change that to mouse 1. We're going to name our mouse here in a second. But this is saying that whenever the mouse touches the cheese, then it can go elsewhere on the screen. It will stay in one spot until the mouse touches that cheese. Okay? Makes sense? And that lets me actually gain score in this game and have fun in this game instead of never being able to catch the cheese, because that's not fun. But like I said, we do have a scoreboard. So whenever the mouse touches the cheese, we need to make sure that our score is changed by 10 points. So anytime the mouse catches the cheese, our score will increase by 10. So we'll go 10, then 20 points, then 30 points, then 40 points. You can make this number however high or low you want. You can make this number 1, you can make it 5, you can make it 100, you can make it however big or however low you want. I'm just going to stick with 10 for now. Also, to have some fun and to add some sound to our game, because the best video games always have sound, we're going to come over here to sound. And I want you to do start sound pop. The pop sound is the very first sound that always pops up in the sound library, and so we don't have to change it for now. And that is just going to be that whenever the mouse touches the cheese, you'll hear a pop sound. And that's just to kind of alert, oh, hey, you touched the cheese. And it just kind of makes it a little fun part of the game. Make sense? Okay, let's get going then. Now, so far, we don't have any enemies in the game. Well, what's the fun part of having a game where your mouse has to chase the cheese if you have no enemies to stop you from getting the cheese? That is not fun at all. So we're going to create a ghost. And you can see that here. You can see my little ghost guy right there. So we're going to create him. So come on over here to the sprite library. Choose a sprite. We're going to type in the word ghost. Here's our ghost. And now, for our ghost, we don't want him on the screen at all times. We want him to fade in and out and to pop up at random places on the screen. So the code I'm about to put in here is going to let the ghost fade in and out at random times and to pop up at random places on the screen to make it a little extra challenging, okay? So first, let's go over here to events. Whenever the green flag is clicked, once again, that's how we always start, we want the ghost to hide. So let's go over here to looks, where it's kind of the purpley color. Come over here to hide. So whenever the green flag is clicked, the ghost will first hide. Then he's going to set the rotational style from left to right. This prevents the ghost from going upside down. This ghost will always stay right side up like actual ghosts should. Over here to the, once again, have a forever block in the control section. Come back over here to motion, and we want the ghost to point towards the mouse. This is saying that we want the ghost to go after the mouse. Okay, it's not going to go after the little beetles that we're going to create in a second. It's not going to go after the cheese. The ghost is going to go after the mouse. That is our mouse's enemy, is the ghost. And it's going to move one step. This is basically going to let the ghost move really slowly if it goes one step, so that our mouse has a chance to escape the ghost, because we want to give our mouse our fighting chance. Okay? Let's pull in an if-then block. Put it right there. Let's go. If the ghost is touching the mouse, we want the ghost to stop everything. Okay, so let's go through this. Let's go through this code right here. Whenever we click the green flag, the ghost will first hide. The set rotational style keeps the ghost right side up. It's not going to go upside down. He's not going to spin around in a circle. He's going to stay right side up. The entire time that our game is happening, until we press the stop button, our ghost will always go after the mouse. That is our mouse's number one enemy, is the ghost. But he's going to move very slowly, so that our mouse has a fighting chance to escape. If he ever does touch the mouse, if the ghost ever touches the mouse, then the game automatically stops. Okay? Now, we have the ghost hiding, but we need him to pop up in random places on the screen. We don't need to be able to know exactly where the ghost is going to be, because then we're going to be able to avoid that area and it's not going to be very difficult. So we're going to have a second set of blocks that's going to make the ghost appear randomly in different places on our screen at random times during the game. So we never know when the ghost will show up, and we never know where the ghost will show up. Okay? Go over here to events. When the green flag is clicked, this is going to be a second set of coding. Do your forever block. This is going to make sure that for the entire length of the game, this will happen. Once again, he's going to start off by hiding. Come back over here to the controls. And we want him to wait. Not 1 second, though. We want it to be random. So let's have him wait between 5 to 10 seconds to start out with. So we're going to press the green flag. He's automatically going to hide. He's going to wait about 5 to 10 seconds before popping up. Okay? Where will he pop up? Well, let's go over here to motion. Once again, we don't want to know where he's going to pop up. We want it to be random. So we have the go to X and Y. This is basically, once again, saying where will the ghost pop up on our screen. Because we want it to be random, come back over here to operators. And we're going to put a random, we're going to put a random deal in both the X and the Y circles here. Like I said earlier, the boundaries for our screen that we have here is minus 220, normal 220, and then for the Y it is minus 160 and normal 160. Those are the boundaries for our screen. This is saying that whenever we press the green flag, when the game starts, you will first hide. The ghost will wait for between 5 to 10 seconds. We don't actually know when. It could be 5 seconds, could be 10 seconds, could be 7 seconds, we don't know. And when he does show his face, he is going to go anywhere on our screen. We are letting him have free reign over the whole screen. Whenever he decides to pop up, we want to make sure that we can actually see him. So show. Once again, actually come over here to controls. And we don't want him to appear and then disappear super fast, nor do we want him to appear and then stay on the screen forever and a day. We want him to fade in and out. So we're going to have wait. We're going to pick a random time. So we're going to this time have 3 to 6 seconds. Okay, so this is saying that whenever we press the green flag, for the entire length of the game, he will first hide. He will wait 5 to 10 seconds before popping up the first time. He will pop up anywhere he wants to on our screen. We don't know where he's going to pop up. And he's going to stay on our screen for about 3 to 6 seconds before disappearing again. And the code will repeat. Make sense? Awesome. Now, we already have one sound, which is the popping sound, which is when the mouse touches the cheese. But we want to have another kind of sound that makes it kind of that fun, up-tempo, kind of like this is a really fun game to play kind of deal, you know? So we're going to give our whole game a sound. So we're coming over here to the right side and press stage. And this is, we're going to basically create background music. Come over here to the upper left-hand side where it says sounds. You can choose a sound here. We're going to, and you can go through any of these sounds that you want to have on here. I know the sound that I'm going to choose for this game. It is called Xylo 1. And that's the game we're going to choose. You don't have to choose this. You can choose any sound that you like the most, but I'm going to choose this one for here. Come back over here where it says the coding tab. And we're going to put some code in here that will make sure that that music plays the entire time the game is happening, okay? So press whenever the green flag is clicked. Make sure we have our forever loop. Come over here to sound. And we're going to play the Xylo 1 sound until it's done. Whenever you're doing this, if the word pop is there instead, you can just come over here to the down arrow and you can press Xylo 1. And this code is saying that whenever we press the green flag, this music will play until our game is finished. That's basically what it's saying. Okay? Now, we have our ghost, we have our mouse, we have our cheese, we have our music, but we don't have a maze. And if this is going to be cheese chase, we need to create some borders to make this a little difficult. So now we're going to create a maze. Once again, we do not have a maze in our sprites library. So we're going to create our own maze. Come up here to where it says the sprite, paintbrush, and we're going to create a maze. I'm going to zoom out a little so I can see my borders on my screen here. I'm going to use this line. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to make that 20 so it's a nice thick border. And I'm going to change the color to where it's something fun. Let's decide what's a fun color here. I personally like that purple blue color. A little bit this way, like that. I like that right there. Okay? So, I I'm going to give it some border here. Okay, just like that. There you go. Yeah, just like that. Okay. Okay. All right, and so we're going to keep, and you can do whatever maze design you want. You can make it however hard or however easy you want. There is some really cool ways you can create a maze. Whoops, go back. And there's actually a lot of science behind creating a maze in video games, believe it or not. There really is a lot of science because you need to make it so that you have space for the characters to go in and out, but you need to make it difficult for them and for the game and for the player. So it's actually really cool. I really encourage you guys to kind of explore the different kinds of mazes you can create, and then figure out for yourself whichever one you think is the best one to make. For now, this is the maze we're going to make right here. Okay? All right. But we need to make sure our maze is in the center of the screen. If you come over here to the right here side, you can see that my maze is not in the center of the screen. So let's go over here to the code. My mouse is being difficult today. Sorry. Come over here to the code. Once again, go over to your events when the green flag is clicked. And we want to go to XY, and we're going to have 0 and 0. This is saying that whenever we press the green flag, our maze will go to the very center of our screen. Okay? So we're not trying to deal with like a really weird half-seen maze, half-hidden maze, whatever. It will go to the very center of our screen whenever we press the green flag. Now, as you can see, our mouse and our cheese is huge, okay? Our mouse can probably fit through some of the tunnels. Let's go ahead and try it real quick. Let's go ahead and try it. Yeah. First of all, our mouse is going through the walls, which we're going to fix. Oh, touch them gross. There it goes. But also, our mouse is huge and is not going to be able to fit through all the little tunnels I created. So, we've got to make our mouse smaller. Okay? So, I already have this little bit of coding here that we created a mouse that lets us use our up and down and left and right arrow keys. We're going to create another bit of coding that's going to make our mouse small. So, whenever the green flag is clicked, come over here to the looks, and we are going to set the size 35%. So right now you see it's 100%. This is the mouse. This is the size of the mouse that it originally starts with. We're going to make it small. I'm going to do a 35. You can play around with sizes. You can make it smaller. You can make it bigger. Depends on really how you design your maze. I'm going to start with 35. If I need to make it bigger or smaller, I can. But this is just to make sure I know that my mouse will fit through my maze. Because here in a second, we're also going to create some coding that will keep the mouse in the maze borders and will stop the mouse from going through the walls. So I want to make sure my mouse is small enough to fit through my pathways and everything. Okay. We're also going to include, where is it? There it is. We're going to have it we're going to do -200. And 75. This is saying that whenever we start the game, our mouse will always start up here in the upper left-hand corner. Okay? So it's not going to start in a random place on the screen. It's not going to start where we left off. Whenever we press the green button or we press the green flag, our mouse will always start up here on the left-hand side. And our mouse will always face to the right. Okay? So it's always going to start right here in the left-hand corner, and it will always face to the right. Okay? Makes sense? And like I said, our cheese is also tiny, so we're going to do a similar code over here to the cheese. Whenever the green flag is clicked, come over here to looks. And I don't want my cheese to be as small as the mouse, because that would make it exponentially difficult for my mouse to get it. I want to be a little bigger than the mouse. And I don't really care if it goes to the walls because it's the cheese. It's kind of what I'm going for. It's not trying to stay within the boundaries of the maze like the mouse will. So I'm going to stick here with about 70. And then once again, if I need to make it bigger or smaller, I can. That's not a problem right there. Okay? Now, here in a second, we're going to create a code for the mouse, like I said, when we do the boundaries, and we will have to erase the mouse's tail. Here in a second, I'll show you how to do that, but it'll make sense here in a second. Before we get to that point, our maze is still kind of boring, and so we are going to create a backdrop here. Actually, I lied. Let's go back. Let's paint our own backdrop. And we're going to do a fun color. So let's do a big giant square. Forget my mouse. The mouse I'm using is being difficult today. I don't want an outline, but I want my fill. So we have our maze is kind of a purple color. Let's see how a teal would look there. Let's make it pretty. Oh, that is pretty. What do you guys think? Or we could go for a fun pink color because I like pink. And I'm sure all the boys are groaning right now. But you know what? They can groan. I like that a lot better actually because it's pink and it's fun. You can change that to whatever it is you want it to be, but I like pink and purple, so we're going to keep it like that. Okay. And actually, if you guys come to Thornton Library and if you guys check out the book, Coding Games in Scratch, it gives you a little bit of insight about creating a maze and about space in games, making sure you have space in your games when you're creating mazes and stuff. Now, we're going to create the code that's going to keep our mouse in the boundaries of our games, of our maze, okay? So I'm going to move this up because we're going to need some room here. Move that down a little bit so that we have extra room, okay? It's actually a really simple coding we're going to add to here, but if it is not put in the right place, it will mess up your game. I know because when I first made this to make sure it wasn't too difficult for you guys, I put it in the wrong place and it messed up my game. And I had to go back and I was trying to figure out where I was going. But basically what we're going to be doing is if the mouse touches the maze walls, it will go back 5 seconds. I mean, five steps. Now you might be thinking that doesn't make any sense. Why would you want the maze to go? Why do I want the mouse to go back 5 steps? Well, normally she moves 5 steps forward at a time. So if we're going to have it go backwards at a time, basically it's going to be happening so fast that we won't see the mouse going backward 5 steps. We'll just see the mouse pause, and she won't be able to move forward. So when we put then go backward 5 steps, we're just making the mouse pause where it's at, and we can't do anything until we get away from the wall. Is basically what we're going to put in there. So to do that, we're going to have our if-then blocks, and we're going to put it, so you see the if-then blocks we already created with the move 5 steps and point in direction and all that stuff. We're going to put the if-then blocks inside that, just under here. Okay? We're going to put your sensing. If yeah. Oh, actually, I lied real quick. Before we do that, let's go over to press sprite 2, and we want to change that to maze. Now come back over here to mouse. If the mouse touches the maze, then we are going to move backward minus 5 steps. Once again, this is saying that if whenever the mouse ever touches the walls of the maze, it's going to pause. We're not going to see it move backward because this movie is happening so fast we won't see it happening. It's just going to see it. It's going to pause. It's not going to be able to go beyond the boundaries of our maze. And you're going to put that in each of the places of the coding you already have. And this is just so that it doesn't matter whether you're pressing the up key or the down key or the right key or the left arrow key. Anytime our mouse touches the maze walls, it will stop. Okay, so let's repeat that code in each of the places we have. So we have if then, going to put it under right there, so it's inside our original if then block and just under the move forward 5. I'll get rid of sensing. If the mouse touches the maze, it's going to move backward minus 5 steps. Well, let's do it again. If, oops, the mouse touches the maze, it's going to move backward 5 steps. And one more time, our if then block. If the mouse is touching the maze, it will move back 5 steps. All right, so let's make sure we got our code, our numbers correctly here. I believe that we are good to go. But like I said, if you don't have that part of code we just added in the correct space, it will mess up your whole game. So as you're playing and you realize, hey, something's not happening right with the mouse, come back and check this code here because that could be the reason why. Now, like I said, our mouse, the tail of the mouse is going to add a difficult layer because the tail is so long that the coding we have in here is if any part of our mouse touches the maze walls, and that includes the tail. So even if it doesn't look like our mouse touching the maze walls, if our computer says, hey, that tail is touching the maze walls, our mouse will stop. So we want to fix that, and we're going to come over here to where it says costumes, and we are going to have the eraser tool, and we're just going to erase the mouse tail. So, sorry mouse, you don't have a tail anymore. And you can really erase any part of the mouse that you want to. But we did that because that's just so that our mouse won't get caught on the maze walls just because the tail is touching the maze, excuse me. All right, one of the last things we're going to add now are our beetles, because we have our ghost as our enemy, but we want to add another evil enemy here. We want to add some beetles. So we do have the beetle sprites. Come over here, choose a sprite, type in the word beetle. That's what we want right there, that little guy. But that beetle is huge. That will be very unfair to our mouse. So when the green flag is clicked, let us make that beetle tiny. So we're going to set the size to 30. You can make that bigger, you can make it smaller. You can, as you're making the game, as you are beating this game, you can always make the beetles bigger if you want to. It's up to you, whatever you want to do, but you know, we want to give our mouse a fighting chance here. And this beetle is going to start here. So go to XY. We're going to change these numbers to -130 and 80. This is saying that this is putting the place where our beetle will start at. Our beetle's not going to start at the same place as the mouse, but we're going to have eventually 4 different beetles, and they're going to all start in a different place on the screen. Once again, that's just to give it a little extra challenge for us. And this beetle is going to point right. So we want to point in the direction 90. So it's going to point right. Okay. Now, this little bit of code might seem kind of confusing. Honestly, it's not going to be as confusing as you think it will be. Basically, what we want to do is we want the beetles to move freely around this board, but we want it to also change directions. So whenever it's hitting whenever a beetle touches the maze walls, we want it to know, hey, I touched the maze walls, I need to turn around and I need to go the opposite direction, or I need to go up, or I need to go down, or whatever it is. So we're going to put some code in here that will give the beetle freedom to go all over the maze. Okay? Okay. Yeah. So come over here to our forever block. Make our forever. We first want them to move forward 5 steps. This is going to allow them to move forward 5. Move forward. You can keep 10 steps, but moving 5 is more realistic. It just starts off with 10. 10 steps is just like he's going to move like really, really fast, and that's just not going to give our mouse a fighting chance. We want a typical if-then block to go right here. And if the beetle is touching the maze. So maybe you're touching mouse pointer, we're going to do the drop-down menu. So if he's touching the maze. Like the mouse, we're going to have him move backward 5. Basically, this is saying that, hey, I touched the maze walls. I need to turn around and go a different direction. Because for the mouse, if the mouse touches the maze walls, the mouse is kind of stuck. We've got to personally move the mouse's direction. The beetles, we're not going to worry about where they're going on the screen. We want the beetles to automatically know, hey, I need to go a different direction because I touched the maze walls. I'm not going to worry about changing the beetles, changing the direction of the beetles myself, okay? So this little bit is going to make sure that, so this little bit of code up in here is going to give the beetles freedom to go wherever they want on the screen whenever they touch the maze walls. We're going to have the if-then-else block here. This is similar to our if-then blocks. This is saying that basically like if it's raining outside, then I'll get my umbrella, or I'll get my rain boots, okay? Or if I'm hungry, then I will eat dinner, or else I'll eat dessert, okay? So it's a similar deal as the if-then block. Basically what it's saying. And this little operator that I'm going to put in here might look weird. It is a little weird. But these 2 buttons right here that I'm doing, the pick random 1 to 2 equals 1, is giving the beetle the knowledge to, whenever it bumps into the maze walls, to turn around and go anywhere else it wants on the board, okay? So this little bit of code says, hey, I touched the maze walls. Now what do I do? Hey, you touched the maze walls. Okay, I want you, if you touch the maze walls, I want you to turn around, go the other direction, or I want you to turn the opposite direction. So if you are going to the right and you touch the maze walls, I want you to turn to the left, go opposite direction. If you're going to the left and you touch the maze walls, I want you to turn around and go the opposite direction. If you're going up and you touch the maze walls, I want you to go down. Or if you're going down and you touch the maze walls, I want you to go up. That is what this bit of coding is saying here. Make sense? Okay. Now, also, if a beetle touches the mouse, then we want the game to stop. Okay? So let's add in one more bit of if-then block here. Now this would be a normal if-then block, and put it underneath, still in our forever block. Once again, actually one thing, if it is touching our mouse, then we're going to have 2 things are going to happen. First is you are going to broadcast our message. What message are we going to broadcast? We want to do a new message, and we want to broadcast the message game over. And we'll make a game over sign here in a second. We also want, we also want temperature control. We want to stop all. So this little bit of coding is if a beetle runs into the mouse, then our game over message will pop up on the screen and the game will stop. Okay? Because we lost the game. Okay? Make sense? Now that that is done, we are now going to create 3 more beetles with the same coding. But we don't want to go through the trouble of putting in the coding in. So we're going to right click on our beetle. We're going to duplicate. No. Scroll down. We're going to duplicate again and duplicate again. So now we have 4 beetles total, and they all have the same code, which is what we want. But we don't want all 4 beetles to start in the same place on our screen. So come over here where it says go to mine x minus 130 and y 80, and we're going to change these numbers to be kind of randomized numbers to make the beetles go to start in different places on the screen. Okay. So over here, Let's see, what beetle am I starting? Let's start with the second beetle here. We have minus 130 start, so I'm going to do normal 130 and minus 80, basically the opposite of what we just did. For the third beetle, I'm going to do normal 130 and normal 80, and for the fourth beetle, I'm going to do minus 130 and minus 80. You can put whatever numbers you want in there, but this is basically saying that our beetles are going to start at different places on the screen. And once again, so that way we can't necessarily control where our beetles will start. And it will add a little extra challenge to our screen, okay? Come back over here to your mouse, because we're about to create our game over block. But before we do that, let's do one more thing to our mouse. Let's do, where is it? When I receive, here it is. When I receive the game over message, whenever I see the game over message, I want to stop other scripts and sprites. So for our mouse, is whenever our mouse gets the game over message, this is saying that all the scripts in here will stop. Everything, our game will just stop basically when we get the game over message. Okay. To create the game over message, we're going to create another sprite. And we want to do just a giant rectangle on the screen. I'm going to change this color so that it is black so it can show up. And we're going to type words on our screen. Game. But we need to make sure it's yellow so we can see it. I mean, you don't have to be yellow. It can be whatever color you want it to be. But I'm going to do game. I'm going to do yellow. Over. And let's make it huge so we can see game over. Okay. Come over here to our coding tab. Let's go over here to events. When the green flag is clicked, we want this sucker to hide. We do not want to see game over. We want it to hide. However, when I receive the game over message, I want it to show up. I don't want it to show up on any random place on the screen though. I want it to go to the very middle of my screen. So go to motion where it says go to XY. We're going to put in zeros here. It's going to go to the very middle of our screen. Not only that, but it's going to go to the very front of our screen. So it's going to go on top of the ghost, on top of the mouse, on top of the cheese, top of the maze, top of the beetles. It's going to go on top of everything, and it's going to pop up and show. And that is going to stop everything, okay? So that is our game. We're going to try to play it now real quick. Let's see what happens. I can tell you that probably will be a few things we'll have to fix here, but we'll fix them in a second, okay? So let's try and play it, see what happens. And I'm already seeing a problem with one of our beetles. Let's see if you can, I hope you see it. And there's our ghost. Okay, so we have the game over popped up perfectly fine. But you saw that our beetle, you can't really see it right now, but there was one of our beetles that was stuck. You see that beetle right here? That is stuck. It can't move. That's perfectly fine. That means we need to fix that beetle. And I have a feeling I know which beetle it is. So I believe, yep, it's our first beetle. So we just need to change where it says go to X, Y. We just need to change that. We're going to do minus 120 and make that 65. And that should, oh, nope, we need to change it. Let's do 50. There it goes. So that was fine. It was just, where we had started it, we had a maze wall already there. And so it was saying, hey, there's a maze wall here. Oh, I'm stuck. Oh, touch the, okay. So, Oh no, I'm stuck. I ran into the wall. Okay, but as you can see, that is our game. Let's try this one more time. I'm actually really bad at this game, as you can tell, but I'm sure you guys will be much better at this game than I am. You can make the beetles, as you can tell, you can make the beetles however big you want, however small you want. You can make the ghosts however big or small you want. But that is Cheese Chase. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys again next month for another fun coding game. Thanks, guys. Bye.